Isabella von Carstein.
Mercy the Mad here, and today I've got an Isabella video for you. In this video we're going to cover a condensed version of the early turns of an Isabella campaign, including how you can power level your lords to rank 40 as early as turn 7, how to quickly dominate Manfred von Carstein. You can then set about confederating him or subjugate him to confederate him later, or just destroy him. You can farm either him or Tempelhof. There are a few different options at various points, so I'll outline what they are, but I'm only going to sort of cover one particular way of going about it. Okay, so first things first, this is a vampire rush strategy, so we're going to get as many vampire heroes as fast as we can. So that means we need Castle Drakenhof. And this brings us to our first choice, or fork in the road. If you want to take Drakenhof as fast as you possibly can, then what you need to do is move Isabella to the edge of your territory so you're within one turn's movement of Drakenhof. And then on turn 2, you want to recruit Vlad and actually replace Isabella with Vlad in her army. That way, Vlad's got siege attacker, he can then attack Drakenhof on turn 2 and you can siege it then. In this particular playthrough though, I'm going to do the 3-turn Drakenhof method. That way we get to keep Isabella out on the field and we don't have to wait for 5 turns for her to come back. Both her and Vlad can be on the battlefield together, the immortal beloved tag team. Recruit a second lord at Schwarzhafen. This is the lord that you're going to replace with Vlad next turn. Ideally you want to get a lord with either Lawkeeper or the knowledgeable trait, as both of those traits give you global faction bonuses to your vampires even when the lord's disbanded. So when you replace him with Vlad, you'll still get those bonuses. If none of the lords have those good traits, then just take a Necromancer. You are going to do some Raise Dead with this lord before you switch him out for Vlad, and Necromancers get a slight discount. Send your vampire heroes to discover the nearby settlements of Clan Ferric. It won't actually cost you any money to do the actions, and you get a free level up on both of them. And since none of your nearby neighbours likes Clan Ferric, you'll get a little bit of a free relationship bonus with them as well. We're going to do some pretty extreme exploits later on in this guide, so none of that stuff will really matter. But if you choose not to do those more extreme exploits, then those extra levels and relationships might help you in your game. In the tech tree, work towards Defiler of the Ancient Barrows. In this particular playthrough, I'm doing a vampire rush, so I'm not really going to need skeleton spam, especially not in the early game, but it's always nice to have free skeleton stacks later on. Raise some dead in Stirland with your second lord, then move him back next to Isabella on the border and change him out for Vlad. Recruit more skeletons with Isabella's stack. Bring your vampire heroes back so they can rejoin the armies before you assault the castle next turn. On turn 3, use Vlad's army to initiate a siege on Castle Drakenhof. Don't forget to raise dead with Vlad's army both in Schwarzhafen before you leave and in Drakenhof on the way there. That way you'll get more units in Vlad's army. You don't really need it to take Drakenhof, but later on when you fight Manfred's army, you'll want to have large armies on both sides so you can potentially make a battle marker. I think you need 14 to 15 units in the main army, like the top army on the list when you have a battle involving multiple armies on each side. Bring up Isabella's army to support. Could fight the battle manually, but it doesn't really matter in the long run. So just get through these early turns quicker, just auto-resolve the battle, occupy Drakenhof. Once you've taken Drakenhof, just dismantle any recruitment buildings that you've got in there, and then you've got a choice. You could either build the Mausoleum of the Mad Count straight away to get those vampires coming out as quick as possible, or in this case, that's going to put me into bankruptcy, so I'd start taking attrition and I wouldn't get any replenishment to next turn. So, I mean, it probably would be fine, but just to make sure that you can definitely beat Manfred's army on turn 4, which we're probably going to encounter him next turn, I'm just going to build the Tarnished Gold Shaft. Just move Isabella up a little closer to Eschen and then end turn. Turn 4, attack and sack Eschen. Do not occupy it. I like to attack it with Vlad, and then leave Vlad near to Eschen, and then move Isabella slightly past Eschen, so she'll still be in range to reinforce at the start of next turn, but then she'll be able to go and attack Waldenhof. Again, I still don't have quite enough money to build the Mausoleum of the Mad Count without going into attrition next turn. However, now that we've destroyed Manfred's army and broken the back of the Vampire Count's faction, we don't really need to be as strong anymore, and we want to get those vampires out as quickly as possible. So build that now, and we'll just take the attrition next turn. Now this is another one of those points where your campaign can diverge depending on what the AI does. Occasionally, Manfred will not have taken Waldenhof, and Waldenhof will still be owned by Tempelhof. So in that case, Eschen's his last settlement at this point. So you don't want to leave him vulnerable to getting taken out by the Tempelhof faction. So, you know, if that happens to be the case, then you still want to capture Waldenhof. But since we want to confederate Manfred later on, we don't want him to be wiped out. It's going to be inconvenient to try and bring him back to life again. So there's a couple of things you can do. One thing is declare war on Tempelhof. They're less likely to kind of come over here if you've got strong armies here. You can also put Isabella in ambush stance if she's got enough movement. But yeah, just be aware that if this is his last settlement, he is at war with Tempelhof, so he's going to be vulnerable to them. You can see that they're at war. Okay, turn 5. So, first of all, take Vlad and lock Eschen down into a siege. That's going to free up Isabella so that she can move up to Waldenhof and take out Waldenhof. So, actually occupy Waldenhof and take it over. That'll make Eschen the last remaining region that Manfred's got. You can just auto-resolve all of these battles. They don't matter too much. I sacked it first and then occupied it. You could just sack and occupy in the one action as well. Once that's done, you attack Eschen for the final time. This time you subjugate Manfred. So that makes him your ally. Move Vlad over towards Castle Tempelhof so we can attack it next turn with Vlad's siege attacker attribute. You can leave him just within range of Eschen so he can get a bit of reinforcements from them if Tempelhof happen to attack, but there shouldn't be much of a threat anyway. You can demolish the recruitment building in Waldenhof, don't need that. And probably start downsizing Vlad's armies as well, just to save a little bit of money so we can start recruiting some vampires next turn. At this point, you'll be able to spend your first blood kisses. Now, I do like to go for research rate early, but for this particular build, we're going for a vampire rush, so it's really important that you get minus 50% upkeep for all heroes as soon as possible. It's just going to make your army so much cheaper, and it's just going to save you more money the more vampires you get. Turn 6. Now that Isabella has crushed Manfred under her stilettoed boot heel, it's time to put the Tempelhof brood to the sword. Get Vlad to initiate the siege with his siege attacker ability, and then loot and occupy it as you'll need that extra cash. The mausoleum of the Mad Count is completed now. That means that we can recruit vampires. Normally, I trait farm to try to get my favorite traits, like Dread Incarnate to do, Fear Bomb, or Discipline to buff the melee attack of the whole stack, or Confidence, a really good one for undead so that they never crumble. But in this case, we're doing Vampire Rush, so we just need as many vampire heroes as fast as we can. So just hire all of them. Now, thanks to Isabella's faction trait and her special building, she's got a vampire cap of 6. So that allows us to hire all of the vampires, but in order to have a vampire rush, an army of vampires, we're going to need more than 6. So hire another vampire lord over at Tempelhof. If you look at the vampire lord's blue line skills, the skill Children of the Night, when it gets to level 2, gives you an extra +1 cap for vampire heroes. And that persists even when the lord's disbanded. So basically you can hire a vampire lord, level them up to level 4 to unlock the level 2 of Children of the Night, and it increases your cap permanently by 1 for your vampire heroes. Tempelhof was the last siege that we needed for our chapter objective, so with that gold reward we're finally solvent again. Now, if you're careful about the way that you place your armies, you should be able to get your newly recruited vampire heroes into this battle. So move Isabella first, so she's just right on the edge of the reinforcement range, on the edge of the red circle around Fort Overstow, and then move the other lords in. And then you should be able to get all of your vampire heroes to join into Isabella's army and join the battle to start getting XP as soon as possible. My whole idea around the vampire rush is basically to get these vampires, reduce their cost with the blood kisses. You can see they're only costing 100 gold in Isabella's army, and then you level them up so they become more powerful for the same price. And the other thing is that I found with a lot of vampire games, I tend to just wait around for Defilers of the Ancient Barriers to get free skeletons, and that first 18 turns of the game where you're waiting for that can be a bit passive. So this vampire rush just is a different play style. Okay, so this is another one of those points in the guide where it forks into 2 paths. Now, one path that you could take is some fairly cheesy double Saxony vampire rush power leveling kind of strategy, where basically you sack Fort Oberstyre, move your lords over to the other side, recruit another lord, so you have 4 of them in a pack, and then next turn you sack Fort Oberstyre again, but this time you'll have enough movement to also sack the Moot, and then you can move back into Fort Oberstyre if you like, so you don't take attrition. And then you can just keep going back and forth and sacking both of those each turn and leveling up your lords to level 4, so they get Children of the Night. Each time you do that, you replace that lord with a new lord and keep leveling that one up to level 4 to get more Children of the Night. Keep increasing your vampire cap, keep adding more vampires to your armies, keep sacking. If one of your enemy factions takes out Schwarzhafen, that's fine. Just kill their army and sack that as well. But at this stage, you'll have so many vampires and they'll be getting so powerful and such high level that you should be able to take on anything around this area, at least until a lot of armor-piercing units start appearing. Okay, let's just rewind for a second. Now that was the light cheese version. What we're going to go for is the extreme cheese version. I didn't come up with this strat. This exploit was discovered by a guy by the name of Grey Seer Vitiate. It's very similar to the exploit Legend of Total War showed off in his Chaos Warriors million gold video. It's pretty exploity. Now, if you're lactose intolerant, this is the time for you to just opt out, block your ears, turn off the video. But if you've been waiting this whole video for the really delicious cheese, this is it. So you attack Fort Oberstyre, and then because it's their last settlement that they've got left, gives you the option to subjugate Tempelhof. Now Tempelhof is our vassal, but we can immediately cancel their vassal status. And because the subjugation option doesn't use up any movement or push you away from the settlement, Vlad's still right next to the settlement ready to attack and still has the same amount of movement. You do have to go into the diplomacy screen though, so once you've subjugated them, you can't just attack them and instigate a war that way. You have to subjugate them, go into the diplomacy screen, cancel the vassal treaty, then attack them again, subjugate, that back to diplomacy, cancel the vassal treaty. If you do it correctly and your attacking lord is placed in the right position, then you can just keep attacking infinitely, subjugating, breaking the vassal agreement, attack again. Note that only certain positions around the settlement will allow you to do it. In other places, your lord will actually retreat back and lose a little bit of movement each time, so you won't be able to do it infinitely. So the position that Vlad's in here is where you can do it. Whenever one of the lords gets to level 4, level them up with 2 points in Children of the Night, which increases your vampire cap, and then replace that lord just with any other lord, doesn't matter, and then your vampire cap will be increased by 1. Recruit another vampire.
Ready. Yes.
Until you've recruited all the ones you can for that turn, and then you just keep increasing the cap for the future. You keep replacing these with new lords and leveling up new ones. It's actually pretty tedious just sitting here and attacking and then cancelling the vassalization and attacking again over and over again, but if you stick with it, eventually Vlad will get to rank 40. Isabella, since she's supporting, will only have a portion of the XP, so she'll only be 24 at this point. You could keep going, but as I said, it's quite tedious. All of the vampire heroes will be rank 40. You will have recruited every single lord in the pool, so there'll be none left for you to recruit. And they'll all be level rank 4, increasing your vampire cap. Once you've gone through all of them, the last one left, there'll be none left to recruit, so you may as well level up the last one. He'll be up to rank 13. By this time, your vampire cap will be up to 12. You'll have recruited every vampire you can from here, so there's 2 more here waiting to come across, plus the 6 that Isabella's got. You'll be able to recruit new ones, 2 new ones next turn. You'll also have looted heaps of magic items for every slot. You'll probably have about 40,000 gold saved up. One thing I forgot to mention, before you start farming Tempelhof, you need to cancel your technology research. So go into your technology, cancel your research, and that will give you a chance every time one of your characters levels up, which they'll be doing a lot, to get the student ancillary, which gives you 10% increased research rate per student ancillary, and it's stackable. You'll end up with heaps of them. So just equip one of those student ancillaries onto every one of your vampire heroes. Your lords can't equip them. You should be able to get Defiler of the Ancient Barrows completed by probably turn 15 or 14. Now, there are still a few more things I wanted to cover about Isabella and the vampire accounts, but I feel like this video is going a bit long now and I've kind of crammed as much in as I can. But I'll probably do a follow-up video just about where I would go from here and how I would go about trying to confederate all of the legendary lords, including the Red Duke. One thing I'll just mention is that if you want to confederate all the lords, don't confederate Manfred now. You have to wait until at least turn 31 for Manfred to recruit Gorst first. Oh, another tip, when you're fighting Manfred, if you want, you can actually give him Isabella's trait, Cruelty Restrained, which gives him regeneration. Just enter into a manual battle between Isabella and Manfred, and then retreat off of the battlefield and he'll get the trait. Quick thank you again to Grey Seer for coming up with that amazing Subjugate exploit, and also to Verinxz for helping me out with a lot of testing and stuff, and to all the guys who were involved in the Isabella science streams a week or two ago, where we figured out all this stuff. So I appreciate all your help, everybody, and yeah, thanks for watching this video. I've still got some more stuff, but I'll put that in another video. Thanks, guys.